think most of you know how near and dear to my heart the whole concept of mental health for kids is and has been for a very, very long time. And so our partnership with the Contentment Foundation and the curriculum of Four Pillars of Wellbeing is really our next step in what is big for the country school. So our commitment to mental health for kiddos goes way back. Everything that we do here at the country school is with intention, and I think you know now that a lot of what's going on in the world today and for kids, and that we're hearing about a lot recently, that have become national conversations around what's good for kids and what we need to be doing for kids. We're hearing about in the book, for example, Anxious Generation. We've been working on for a long time here at the country school, right? We've been giving kids their afternoons free with intention, understanding that anxiety about being overscheduled and not having time to play, we needed to give kids. We've been doing that for a long time. We understood a long time ago that it wasn't good for kids to be glued to a cell phone, and that social media for kids was not right. And we knew that we didn't need to wait around for the Surgeon General to tell us and put a warning on that. We knew that we needed to take those away from kids a long time ago, over a decade ago. And that was because we believed in advocating for what was right for the mental health of our kiddos. We knew that breath work and breathing and giving space for meditation in our classrooms every day was right for kids, right? And so our connection to that and our next step for preschool through 8th grade and for our teachers and for you, our parents, to let you know what we're doing to advocate for the wellness and the well-being of our community is our commitment to each of you, to help you personally, to help our staff, our teachers personally, and our kiddos from 2 years old all the way up to 8th grade, help you feel wellness and feel okay and understand your connection to your emotions and what that means. And I can't wait to introduce you first to Matt, who's going to tell you about how we're going to do that. And tonight we're going to learn about the first pillar in the curriculum, mindfulness.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I spent some time with the 2-year-olds today practicing mindfulness, and I went immediately over to the teachers. And it's just beautiful. Tonight we're going to take you through a mindfulness practice. We're going to give you some tools that we hope will be helpful for you as a parent. And mindfulness is the first pillar. We have the 4 pillars of well-being are mindfulness, community, self-curiosity, and contentment and balance. And we go through this curriculum together as a whole school together at the same time. And before we go into the mindfulness pillar, I just want to take just a second to give you some perspective about our relationship with the Contentment Foundation, just a little history. I began my relationship with the Contentment Foundation about 8 years ago. I worked at a pilot school for the Contentment Foundation in Florida. We worked together on the initial curriculum. We rewrote the curriculum. We created a wellness group, which is designed to support the well-being of the faculty. We have a wellness team here. And if you're on the wellness team, just go ahead and wave here. This is our team that has volunteered to jump in, and not only to jump in and help everybody, the community, but it resonates with them. And it adds to everybody's lives involved with this. And we hope after tonight you'll kind of see a little bit about how we can add to your lives as a parent as well. And I was a teacher here 7 years ago, and Holly and I have always had the same mindset about doing what's best for kids. So it was only natural, given all the work that Holly has done here over the years, for us to come together now, bring this program here, and and start here at the Lighthouse School for LA, the very first school in Los Angeles to teach this curriculum, and we're really proud to continue the leading the way yet again for mental health for our kids. So we're really proud of that. It's a global organization. We have a short video that our Contentment Foundation's creative director, Dave Kibo, who's here with us, recording and telling our story. He's here to tell our story from day one, and we can just watch this grow. I've seen the power of kids going through this curriculum year after year after year, and every year it becomes more of a fabric of who they are and the fabric of the community. I've seen the power of that. It's really something, and we're fortunate that Dave could be here on the first day to tell that story, so when we look back and remember it, where we began. But I just want to play a quick video that just talks about all the schools around the world that are a part of the Contentment Foundation family, and then we're going to jump right into the mindfulness pillar.
The Four Pillars of Wellbeing curriculum is designed to teach students skills which will help them understand and learn from their life experiences and find the happiness that is already inside of them. As the name suggests, the Four Pillars curriculum is taught in 4 parts. Mindfulness helps students focus their attention on the peace of the present moment instead of getting hijacked by their emotions. Community building tools help students develop compassion, cooperation, trust, and empathy with each other, their teachers, and their families. Self-curiosity teaches students to explore their experiences with wonder in order to understand what triggers them emotionally, why, and what they can do about it. Contentment and balance skills empower students to heal old reactive patterns and find acceptance and gratitude for all their emotions.
We were looking for a mindfulness program to implement, and when we looked around, we found the Contentment Foundation's Four Pillars of Wellbeing program, and we were quite amazed by it.
We had a few reasons for choosing the Contentment Foundation. One of them was the 4 pillars. These 4 pillars actually outline what do you do with mindfulness? What do you do with mental well-being eventually?
The impact that 4 pillars have made with the mindfulness first, like really taking out the time to take those deep breaths and just to reflect on your actions and what you could have done better. From kindergarten to 8th grade, you'll see in the hallways, you'll see how it transfers from one grade to the next grade as they go on and on.
What Contentment Foundation and the 4 pillars offer that's unique is this flexibility to use it in a way that makes sense with your staff. Like any teacher you ask that's been using this curriculum with fidelity would say that every minute they've given to it has been well worth it.
Right now we have about 31 schools that have signed up. So my wish is for the 4 pillars to be brought to all the schools in Kenya.
We're offering kids different tools for their toolbox. So I think it's up to us as educators to fill those toolboxes as much as we can and give our kids the tools to pick and choose which tools they use when.
I love this program. I've seen such a difference. I've gotten a lot of academic time back without having to handle any behavior issues. And I couldn't thank you guys enough for putting this program together because it's been just phenomenal.
This is the real deal, okay? And once it's implemented and with consistency, you'll see the difference in the children and in yourself as well.
Our goal is to have healthier kids who will become healthier adults, which will produce healthier families, which will produce healthier communities. It's not just curriculum, it's changing a generation. This becomes foundational for every arena of life.
So that is really, really my aspiration, that this little tiny school could really be a model for other schools. And if we can take it forward, I think then we will truly, truly be able to realize the vision of wellness within and well-being for all.
Welcome to the family, y'all. You guys are a part of this now. We are one of the great things about this partnership is we have so much support from the Contentment Foundation, and so tonight to go through the mindfulness pillar with us and co-present with me will be our implementation specialist, Kristen Pittman. So please give Kristen a round of applause. Kristen has, she trained us over the summer, the wellness team remotely, and happens to be a neighbor of mine in Pasadena, purely by chance, as it turns out now. And so, Kristen.
Thanks. We're happy to have Matt on the right coast. Yeah, so just a little bit of background. I have been in the education field all my life. I was a classroom teacher for 21 years, and in 2017, I went through a mindfulness certification program for educators. And in the first 8-week course, it transformed my life. I sat back like, what? Emotions? Huh? So I realized at 38 years old, emotions were okay to have, which I didn't have that knowledge, that emotional intelligence as a kid, as a 20-year-old, as a 30-year-old. And for the first time in my life, I was blown away. And then because I'm an educator and we're natural nurturers, on top of being parents, we're natural nurturers, and I'm a parent. But I said, I have to bring this to children. And so I started to, I got a curriculum, started to teach in my classroom. And then of course, serendipitously, I came across the Contentment Foundation, and I went through the 4 Pillars of Wellbeing and said, what, this is a gift, packaged. What I've been piecing together for the past couple of years, it's a package. And what a beautiful package it is. And being a classroom teacher for the number of years that I was, I went to professional developments, nothing was for me, right? My mindset was for the kids, for the kids, for the kids. I lost myself. And guess what happened? Burnout, right? Frustration, resentment, and then transformation, right? So I dove into mindfulness, and then at the end of 2021, I stepped out of the classroom to do this role full time. And I wake up every morning with the feeling of, oh my goodness, I get to inspire others. And so when Matt moved here, I was like, oh good, I get to go in person. I don't have to see everyone in a box anymore. So I'm really honored to be here. Thank you. And I just want to remind you, extend gratitude to yourself for being here, because this is for you, for your children, and for your family, and the greater community of the country school. So I am going to offer and extend just to experience a mindfulness practice right now, just for a couple of minutes. So when we do a mindfulness practice, we just ask that you sit confidently and comfortably in your seating position, feet on the ground, and when I work with kids, if your feet can touch. And then place your hands gently on your laps. Your phones, anything else you have, I promise they'll be there when you're done. Okay, so you can gently close your eyes, or if that's not comfortable, you can find something gently to gaze at down in front of you, or just look at the beautiful image. And we'll begin to just settle in. Bring your attention to your breath and notice it for a moment. Notice if it's a quick inhale and exhale, or maybe you need a long, deep inhale and a slow, gentle exhale. Allow it to be wherever it is at this moment. And now together, let's take one breath, breathing deeply in through our nose, pausing at the top, and gently exhaling out through your mouth. Now let your breath rest naturally and normally in your body, noticing the gentle rise and fall of your chest as you inhale and to exhale. Knowing that at this moment, there's nowhere to go, nothing to do, but just allowing yourself to be here, in this moment. And if your mind wanders away from your breath, just gently remind it that right now, you're focusing on your breath. Now I want you to take a moment and notice how you are feeling. What feeling is coming up? Allow whatever feeling is there and know that it's absolutely okay and normal to feel. Now let's take one more big deep breath together in through our nose, pausing and gently exhaling out through your mouth. Now begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Now I want to check in with you. How did you experience that mindful moment? Open to any shares, yeah?
It's probably the first time that I noticed breathing all day, or that I exist.
Would you be willing to share the feeling that you named when you were?
Sure, I felt really calm, actually, and by you saying there's nowhere else I need to be, you know, like I just was fully here. It felt nice.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Yeah.
It took me a moment to settle into it, a little anxiety at first, but then the second half felt very relaxing.
So you noticed the anxiety, and you allowed yourself to
Just keep
settle
breathing.
in.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Anyone else? Yeah.
I started noticing myself breathing as well, but then I started breathing with the flow of the traffic outside as well, and got more lost in it, and just kind of sank into it.
Right? We all have our own experience, right? When we do a mindfulness practice, and our core tool for the mindfulness pillar is the breathing practice, because guess what? You take it wherever you go. Right? So any moment at any time, you can breathe, right? It may not, if on a scale of 1 to 10 in emotions, maybe you're at a 10. If you do a breathing practice, it could get you to a 5, it could get you to a 7, it could get you back to a 1, and that's okay. You have it, and you notice, right? The simplicity of just noticing. And that's another thing, we'll dive in more. I'm mindful of the time because I can talk all day about this. I'm so inspired by it. And give Matt some time too, but the practice, so we think that sitting down and doing the breathing practice is mindfulness, right? But it's actually the moments that you notice your mind wanders and you bring it back. That's actually disrupting homeostasis and creating a new neural pathway. Right? And our brains are malleable, right? So you're strengthening that part of your brain, and it's really benefiting you. So even when you're driving in traffic, take a deep breath, right? Take a couple of breaths, or in the morning when you wake up. And we'll talk about more of that in a little bit. So let's dive in. So Matt, I'm going to let you speak.
I'm not getting in the way.
I can do this so naturally.
Yeah. No, I mean, the way you spoke was so beautiful. I mean, I would like to add, the way I share this with the kids is your brain. I start like this. I say, what does your heart do? And the 2-year-olds told me today that it pumps blood. And I was like, nice. And then, what do your lungs do? Well, it pumps air. I said, what does your brain do? It makes thoughts. It just does it. You don't wake up in the morning and say, at 9:30, I'm going to really be mad at myself and worry about something I have to do later. And the brain will just do that. And so kind of knowing that these things are going to come and go, to Kristen's point, the flex is just noticing it. You know, the tendency is, it's self-compassion, which we will get into a little deeper, but it's, instead of getting upset at yourself for letting your mind wander, knowing that your mind is supposed to wander, and then giving yourself, good job of noticing, that's the flex. And it's just like going to the gym. And the more times you notice, you know, fortunately the research shows now that we can rewire our brain, you know, and it's like going to the gym. And when you catch yourself, that's the self-compassion saying, good job, you did that one.
Absolutely. And to carry on Matt saying to go to the gym. So we go to the gym for our physical health, right? So doing a mindfulness practice is actually our mental hygiene, our mental health. So the more we practice, I keep looking at that sign up there that says practice makes progress, right? We're in a culture that perfection. Well, we're throwing perfection out the door. It's progress, right? And so we're here tonight to help you. You know, I think mindfulness gets a misconception that you have to sit down and meditate for 20 minutes a day, or you have to do this. You don't have to do all of that, because we take steps, right? And if you get to a place where you want to sit down to deepen your practice, then meditating 20 minutes a day is the key. So now back to the 4 pillars of well-being. So the 4 pillars of well-being is our first pillar. Mindfulness is our first pillar of the 4 pillars of well-being, and it's the pillar of self-awareness. So we build that self-awareness muscle, the attention muscle, right? We think about distractions in our lives. Our kids have distractions. We have distractions. Everybody is distracted. It's developing a different relationship with those distractions, right? Giving us choice. Do we want to be distracted? Or do we want to sit and listen to our child right now tell us a story about school, right? So our definition is mindfulness is cultivating focused, non-judgmental attention to the present moment. All we have is right here and right now, right? We could sit there and think about what happened 2 hours ago, right? That just creates stress. Or we can think about what might happen tomorrow. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet. So we get to find the joy and the comfort of right now. And so with these tools and a few steps, we're going to help you, and then you can create this culture at home of care and compassion with one another, and hopefully transform interactions and relationships in your day-to-day life. So some benefits of a regular mindfulness practice. The first one is it increases the ability to learn, grow, and understand the self through introspection. So self-awareness without self-reflection, there's a little disconnect. So giving yourself the opportunity to self-reflect, right? When you feel some emotions happen, that's a good thing. And bringing in the self-compassion. We'll talk more about that later. Less hooked by negative thoughts, emotions, and sensations, right? We notice when we're not being kind to ourselves, right? And when we're not kind to ourselves, it projects out. So we notice, we catch it, and the more we catch it and kind of calm it and have a different voice in our head as parents. I have an 11 and a 14-year-old, both girls. So I know. I'm not speaking to you without any experience. We become less reactive and improve our self-control. And then strengthen our paying attention muscle. So we're here with you today because who do our kids learn from? Us, right? Our teachers. And this is one of the only program, because I came from years and years of teaching curriculums, the only program that starts with the adults first, right? So we have to embody these practices in order to model them and to build that empathy and compassion for each other, especially in our households and then in the school. Okay, so you want to read the book?
No, I want to watch you read this.
Okay. So I taught a number of grades throughout my 21 years. My biggest stint was kindergarten. I love kindergarten. My favorite thing was to read books. And there's so much deep, rich knowledge that we can get from stories. And this story that I'm going to share with you is actually in our mindfulness curriculum for the kids. And it's a simple way of teaching and thinking about mindfulness in our day-to-day life. Okay? So, I'm going to read some of it, and then you're going to do a little activity. So, this story is titled Mindful Monkey, Happy Panda. Anyone know this story? Oh, good. But it's always good to hear it again, right? Mindful Monkey, Happy Panda. So, yeah, sit back and pretend you're your 5-year-old self again. Okay? You deserve that. One late afternoon, as Monkey was walking home from a long day at school, Monkey came across Panda sitting serenely in a thicket of bamboo. "You always seem so happy and peaceful," said Monkey. It's like, what's up with that? Yes, you could say that, said Happy Panda with a little smile. "What do you do to be so happy and peaceful?" "I walk, I work, I read, I eat, I play, and I rest." "I walk, I work, I read, I eat, I play, and I rest too. But I'm not so happy," said Monkey. "That seems true," said Happy Panda, looking at Monkey. "So Monkey, what do you think about when you do those things?" "Well," said Monkey, "when I walk, I also think about doing chores. When I do chores, I also think about reading. When I read, I also think about eating. When I eat, I also think about playing. When I play, I also think about resting. When I rest, I also think about walking." "Ah," said Happy Panda, "your monkey mind jumps from one thing to another, always to somewhere other than here, to something other than what you're doing right now." "Well, of course it does," said Monkey. "Isn't that what everyone's mind does?" Okay, so we're going to pause here. And I want you to take a moment to think about your monkey mind. Okay? What does your monkey mind jump to throughout the day? Think about today. Okay? I have a monkey mind too. So we all have it. And it's, again, we're going to develop a different relationship. So turn to your neighbors and share for a minute or two about what your monkey mind does, if you feel comfortable. Open it up. Let's hear from you. We have a few sayings in the Contentment Foundation, and one of them is you have to speak it to tweak it. So, right? Who's going to be courageous enough to share? Yeah.
I'm always thinking about food. Like, what am I going to make for dinner? What am I going to have to make for lunches the next day? Once I leave work, thinking about getting the kids, but also thinking about what I'm going to do the next day. I'm at work, thinking about the kids' stuff and logistics and school things. And, okay, lots of bouncing.
Yes, lots of monkey mind. Thank you for sharing. Who else? Yeah. Yeah, summarize. Okay. Exaggerate. So what are we going to talk? Make it again.
I'm always thinking ahead and like trying to stay organized. So it's a monkey mind that always wants to be a step ahead, thinking it's a benefit and that it's a good thing. But I think while I was talking yourself from trying to be, as I was processing it in our conversation, I realized you feel a little tired too at the same time. Yeah.
Beautiful. You notice.
Yeah.
See, when
I
you
think
share,
there's
you speak
tension
it, you tweet
with
it.
that process. Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. And what a beautiful noticing.
I think sometimes just coming to the realization that I think sometimes we say, I'm multitasking, it's like, and that you're like, I'm so overwhelmed. But if you stop and think about it, you're kind of like, if that's a good thing to be able to do, but to do it all the time, you do crash and burn.
Yeah.
You just do. I mean, absolutely. So that, I was just thinking about that after we spoke, because I was saying my monkey mind has become a bit more candlelight at work. Beautiful. Which is good. I mean, at home's a different story. But at work, it's nice.
So when you're working, you're working.
I am, and I'm in the moment. And the kids, I'm good with that. Everything's okay. But the monkey mind can't be big for the most part. I've become more candlelight.
Yeah. Continue. Yes. Right? Practice makes progress.
Yes.
I think that remembering that that's what your mind is supposed to do, and going back to the functions of the different parts of your body, for me, that always kind of helps me realize that this is normal, and it happens to everybody, and then that kind of lets the kindness creep in, and then I can just kind of create that a little bit of space, right? So that if I'm finding myself, if I'm planning, or I'm worried, or I'm excited, I'm not those things. I feel worried, or I feel excited, or I feel angry, because just noticing it just gives you enough space to just be like this, and then now it's a separation. You just have a little bit. You can turn it on.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the beautiful part about the pillars, because they all come together. So this is the mindfulness practice is just that beginning to build wherever you're at in a well-being journey or practice. It just helps build that, and then we bring in the other pillars which deepen it. And I won't spoil those because hopefully I'll be asked back for
Got
those.
to show up at the experiment for that one. That's a teaser.
So, yeah, anyone else before I finish the book? We're not sponsored. Right, but notice we all have times where we have a monkey mind. And that's okay, right? Again, it's the noticing and then the choice. We get to choose. You know, I meditate every day for 20 minutes, and I work from home. And there's moments where I'm like grabbing my phone, checking, you know, my email, or checking Instagram or LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? You're supposed to be finishing this project or this presentation, right? So I disrupt, I notice, right? Or I can choose, do I need a break? Right? I pause. Do I need a break right now? Is that why I'm distracted? Am I hungry? Do I need some water? Right? We get to choose, but we get to like also be kind to ourselves. All right, so I'm going to finish this. So, you know, of course, Monkey said, isn't that everyone's mind? Which we concluded that, yeah, pretty much, that's our mind. Well, said Happy Panda, when I walk, I'm just walking. I'm at school. I'm in school. Good. When I work, I'm just working. When I read, I'm just reading. It's got strong practice. When I eat, I'm just eating. Yum. When I play, I'm just playing. And when I rest, I'm just resting. True happiness, said Happy Panda gently, comes from bringing all of your attention to whatever you are doing right now. There is no need to think about what happened yesterday. Yesterday's gone, over, done. And there's no need to worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't here. But today is all around us. Bringing your mind back to this moment right here, over and over and over again, is called mindfulness. Oh, I get it, said Monkey. Mindful, like mind is full of the present, full of right now. That's definitely how I want to be. And at that very moment, Monkey started to practice mindfulness. How about you? So, on our next side of the column is mindful. Now, we think in today's world, we learn something and we have to implement it right away. Boom, let's dive right in. Usually, that's the case for a little bit of time and then we kind of fall out of it. So it's really important to, it's a journey, right? There's no destination. So little by little, if we bring something into our lives that we're mindful of, like Panda, it will benefit us. So I'm going to challenge you today to think of one thing that you will be mindful of when you're doing it each day. So for example, if you want to do a breathing practice, wake up 5 minutes early before the kids wake up and set a 5-minute alarm. And when you're focusing on your breath, you focus on your breath, right? Gently remind it over and over to bring it back, right? If you love a quiet moment with your cup of coffee or tea, schedule that. 5 minutes just sitting with your coffee and your tea. And notice what that coffee tastes like or what that tea tastes like. 5 minutes, just notice over and over again. If you pick your child up from school, right? And they have so much to tell you, maybe, depending on the age. Sometimes you gotta pull it out. Focus on that conversation, right? Or one other idea is if you sit down at the dinner table or at a restaurant, talk about what you noticed today about yourself. Bring something little in each day and do it for a while. So I'm going to challenge you to name something, and we're going to hold off and do that at the end. It's your action step to take with you. And then when I come back for community, I'm going to check in with all of you and see how it's going, right? But the piece of how it's going is, here's a beautiful tool, poster that we have that you could download. We have the PDFs at the
These are up in all of our classrooms.
Yes. So
there's three versions of them. So three different diverse children.
Global, yeah.
Yeah.
Global set. Yeah. So anything you need to remind you, right? Put it up on your refrigerator or take a screenshot of it and notice it on your phone. But again, remember, bringing your mind back to this moment right here over and over and over again is called mindfulness. But the key ingredient to that piece is self-compassion. So we're going to, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, no, you can introduce it. You're.
Well, sure. So self-compassion is really about that voice in your head, right? So when your child was taught, this is something that I've really uncovered for myself. If your child's talking to you and you're sending an email or you're on your phone and you missed what they said, right? What's our go-to? Oh, right? Criticism, you're a terrible mom. I've really transformed that with the self-compassion piece, right? Because if we're not kind to ourselves, we can't be kind to others in a way, right? And think about this. If your friend or a family member comes to you and shares a story and is upset with themselves about how they behaved or how they acted, what is your first go-to? Oh, it's okay, be kind to yourself, right? So you have to extend that compassion to yourself like you would a friend or a family member, right? And when I was in the depths of my mindfulness, and speaking of like perfectionism, right? Sit down, oh, I'm gonna meditate every day for 20 minutes, sit down, this was me at the beginning, and it's like, I can't focus on my breath, I keep thinking. There's moments where I'm like, I can't do this, and I walk away. And a mentor said to me, you have to breathe compassion. And as soon as she told me that, it was a game changer, right? A game changer, kindness. Like I rewired that voice in my head now to someone who's really kind, right? And then I extend that out to my kids and to my colleagues and to my friends and to my family members. So we're gonna, Dr. Sheena Baez is our master teacher for the mindfulness pillar, and she's gonna talk to us a little bit about self-compassion in this video.
Thank you. Good. I just, what's something that came up for me, Kristen, when you were talking too, is that beginning again and that self-compassion. As a parent, I found that I had an aha moment when I was allowing myself to begin again. Now, when my son, who is a 16-year-old, who will often say things that he will later wish he could take back, we have a deal. You can always begin again. That practice applies everywhere. And it just provides this safe space where you can make mistakes and you can begin again. You can make mistakes and you can begin again. And so that's a good little parent hack out there.
Self-compassion and mindfulness go hand in hand. The idea of not feeling good enough, not feeling like you're doing the practice correctly, they sometimes rob you of your experience. So a way to really develop self-compassion is to simply be kind. Treat yourself like you would any friend outside of yourself. Be patient. Be still and allow the process to reveal itself. When I reflect back to when I began practicing mindfulness, I'm reminded of how difficult it was for me to sit in a posture or find my anchor spot. I thought that I wasn't good enough. I thought that I had to master a certain way of being, of sitting, of breathing. I really judged every aspect of my meditation practice. Mindfully, however, I've been able to really exercise kindness, exercise care and compassion so that I was able to shift back to the practice by just simply returning to the breath. I had to really trust and believe that I was enough and that I had enough. And everything that I needed to be successful for mindfulness practice was really within me. So the idea of extending self-compassion to yourself as you begin a practice is almost equally important to the practice itself. How you feel about yourself, how you feel about learning and developing really requires you to be gentle and kind to yourself, to understand that this is a practice, meaning that we don't get it right the first time or right ever. Having that idea that being non-judgmental to yourself, being kind to yourself, and extending grace and gratitude for the process becomes so important. You have to give yourself time and space to develop your practice organically and authentically. So when you struggle and you have your moments of self-doubt and you hear the voice in your mind tell you that you're doing it wrong, remind yourself not to judge how you are meditating or how you are practicing. The awareness that you're distracted means you're halfway there. Simply return to the breath and continue your mindfulness practice. I'll be there with you.
So we can translate, in this video, Dr. Sheena Baez talked about as we sit, right? We talked about mindfulness breathing practice is something that we have on hand. And scientifically the research shows that it can benefit us greatly. So if you choose, as we step into the, the end of our time here, if you choose that, we're going to name something, right? Something that you're going to be mindful of. If you're going to name doing a 5-minute breathing practice every morning or every night, remember the self-compassion. If you're going to, when you eat, you're going to think about eating. But if your mind wanders and you kind of have to bring yourself back to eating, you're going to be kind to yourself, right? You get to begin again. And the more we do that, as I love that, Matt, begin again, the more we do that, the more we build compassion for ourselves, and then it spills out into our everyday life for our kids. And then our kids learn that, right? So if we model it, then they're in a good place, right? So it's really important. Again, these tools are something, I don't know if you all had them as kids. Raise your hand if you learned well-being tools, emotional and toughness, right? But guess what? We get to now. And something I was thinking about is that term, it's never too late. It's never too late to learn or do anything. So I guarantee you put one thing, become like Happy Panda and be mindful of one thing every day. You'll see the benefits. And I want to check in with you in our community pillar. But I want you to name something right now. Think about where you can be more mindful. So you're going to name it right now. Identify one way you will practice being mindful. Right? For yourself, for your family, for your kids, for your community. But it starts with you. So take a moment to think, and then we'll share. And if you have something, go ahead. Share it out loud. Inspire us. Yeah.
I'll share actually. So it's funny because like the first thing I started thinking about was, okay, what can I do for the kids?
Yes.
And I went back to me and was like, no, what do I need to do for me? And I think, as simple as it sounds, I'm going to take my lunches when I'm supposed to take them and just not work through them. And I know it sounds really silly.
We just slipped Holly.
Oh, sorry, Holly. Calling you out. Calling me out too, though. Because I do. I kind of like, oh, I gotta eat here. Let's just grab something and keep working through and just whatever. But it's work, focus. And I'm not eating, which is what I should be focused on. It's just eating and kind of taking that break.
And I'm going to go back to what you said, the first thing, what she said, the first thing she thought of was, what can I do for the kids? Yeah. Actually, by you doing that for yourself, you're doing it for the kids. And you'll see the difference when you actually take a little bit more time for yourself and do this one thing. You'll know, whoa, I feel a little bit more rejuvenated when I go pick the kids up. Right? Because you ate, you fueled your body, you took care of yourself. Good. Awesome. Thanks for naming that. Are you two together?
Yes.
Check it out. Make sure she's taking her lunch. Right? I figured that. I love it. Who else? Yeah.
I think I'm just going to try to breathe, like you mentioned. I think doing that mindfulness exercise for me also was the first time I actually took a deep breath today, and I felt my whole body sort of calm down. And I think if I could do that every day, that would be really beneficial.
One little hack that I did at the beginning was I set an alarm at 9, noon, and 3. And when that alarm went off, I stopped what I was doing. I took however many breaths I needed to take, and then I checked in with myself, like, how are you feeling? You have to do that check-in. So, but I love it. Do the breathing. Be intentional about it. Who else? Yeah.
I'm going to agree. Because our preschool classrooms are doing mindful moments and doing the breathing, and I'm a physical director, but I'm forgetting to do it. And about the breathing, sometimes I'm going to say, I get so busy, but I get so focused, sometimes I can't my breath. Yeah. And so when you do the breathe, like, I don't know if any of you do that, but definitely. Maybe that's what you're talking about, but to like, really, it is natural. You have to breathe, but if you get like intense with something, I hold my breath a little bit, you know?
So you can bring the kids into it too.
You
tell them, you have homework.
So remember the,
And they'll remind you, did you remember to breathe? They'll remind you, they'll be your helpers. Who else? Come on.
Yes. I feel like I did sort of just start doing this, but if I commit to it, if I say it out loud, I'm making it a thing and going into it. But for me, maybe my moment of driving the car, because I wanted to like do something for the kids too, my first dog.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, when I'm driving the car, I started turning the radio off. And for me, like, I mean, I understand some people sit in traffic listening to podcasts, and that's great. But like for me, if I'm just driving to pick up my daughter or whatever, if I turn the music off or a podcast or anything, like I'll check in with myself. I'm like, how am I feeling? Why am I anxious? Why am I freaking out? What am I freaking out about? What is like the sun is shining? Like I just like find it easier to like be in my body when I'm in the car.
Beautiful.
So I feel like if I can commit to doing that every time I get in the car and just have the silence, because I love listening to music, but I just like it's just I'm overstimulated most of the time when I get in. So like that's a good spot for me to just like check in with me and be mindful.
Yeah. And it's beautiful when you give your opportunity, give yourself that opportunity, because I got advice from a friend years ago to turn off the music, and actually you get more insights on things or inspirations if you're creative or decisions that you're making. If you give your mind time to just like be clear, they come in. So that's beautiful. I love that.
To add to that too, but that makes me think of, because I would try to do that as well. And when I'm getting real anxious in the car, knowing that everybody else in every other car is experiencing something like that makes me feel and has been doing it since the beginning of the first human. Then I feel a lot more normal that way, because it's very easy to kind of feel like no one has ever worried more than I'm worrying right now. Yeah, thank you for bringing that one up.
Well, I want to say thank you, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. I love this. And it doesn't stop here. So anytime you need to run anything by Matt, myself, Holly, we're here. And I'm happy to share any other, tips or tricks or things that you need. But remember that the self-compassion piece, right? We're all in this together. We have these beautiful children that we are rearing and, hoping that they get these skills to bring forth into their lives, their future, and the only way to do it is to do it together. So I'm just so honored to be here and grateful for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see you next time.
I will say, we do hope that you come out for the next 3 of these to hear about the whole park. So there will be Pillar 2, Pillar 3, and Pillar 4. But we also wanted to let you know, while we have you, we have the next Parent Ed a week from tonight.
I believe so.
Right, it's a week from tonight. And that is the first in our series of our book talk. So if you're interested in the book, The Anxious Generation, you don't have to have already read the book. If you have already read the book, that's great. We're going to go over it together. But if you haven't already read it, it's completely fine. We will, of course, send you the invitation. We will have childcare provided, but we hope that you join us. And hands? Anybody who is interested in that book? Or I know some people who have already read it. And, okay, good. So we hope to see you there. We're going to have a good time going through that together and talking about what we're doing at country school with that, and talking about what some local schools are doing, modeling what they're doing after some of the research that they've learned here and how we've implemented things here. And so it'll be a good time. So we'll kind of sit in circle and get together and go through the book and read this one. She's going to be leading that. So it'll be a good time. So we're just seeing you all about. So thank you all for being here.